Good afternoon, everybody. We'll call this afternoon's meeting of the Diversion Authority Land Management Committee to order. Some really feedback here. For July 23rd, 2025. Don, would you do the roll call, please?
Mr. Stamnus.
Here.
Ms. Derrick.
Here.
Mr. Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Borboom.
Here.
Ms. White.
Yes.
Mr. Gust. Yes. Ms. Majo.
Here.
Ms. Turnberg. Mr. Zimmerman.
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. Before we move on to the approval of minutes, I'd like to take this time to introduce Justin Fisher, our new Director of Lands, to our committee. This is your first time here.
It is. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to come.
Welcome. Yeah. All right, with that, we'll move on then with the approval of the minutes from May 21st.
Zimmerman seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Further discussions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Item number 3, approval of the agenda. Any additions?
Mr. Chair, I'll offer a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Wait seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, the same sign. Motion carried. Item number 4, then we will move into OINs 2366Y, 2367Y, and 8852Y, sale of excess lands. Eric, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, committee members. Now you can hear me. All right, first item on the packet, we've got several pieces of excess land here. The first piece is 3 separate parcels. I'll scroll down to the map just to orient maps, I should say. This is the north end of the channel. It's a little hard to tell in the big map, but in the inset you can see I-29 is just to the west of this parcel. And then the adjoining parcel to the east of this is the rectangular parcel you see on the screen. And then there's that little tooth cut out of the bottom is the small little piece. All 3 of these parcels were deemed excess land back in November of 2024. We had subsequently followed the process for the policy, offering the member entities and then the former owner and then the adjacent owners the opportunity to purchase the excess parcels here at the designated price of $767,000. None of those priority level people had expressed interest at that amount. And so it was tripped into the public sale step, which we typically just listed on the project website, and people can find it if they're interested or looking around. One of the adjacent owners then took an opportunity to submit a bid at $730,000, which again is a little bit less than the original asking price of $767,000. All things considered, I guess we are recommending proceeding with the sale of these parcels at the proposed purchase price of $730,000. Feel like that's still close to the offer or the dollar amount we had listed, and it's probably in our best interest to do that. So that's our recommendation, and I stand for any questions.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Morgul.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Eric, were there any other bids submitted?
There were not.
Thank you.
And one other note there, this has been on the project website as public sale for over a month. So we felt like that was sufficient amount of time to bring forward this proposal.
And that price is for the 3 OINs.
Correct.
Okay. Any further questions? Board action?
Zimmerman moves to approve.
Wait seconds.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Stamnus.
Yes.
Ms. Derrick.
Yes.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Borboom.
Yes.
Ms. White.
Yes.
Mr. Gust. Ms. Majo.
Yes.
And Mr. Zimmerman.
Yes.
That is everyone.
right, motion carried. All right. Item number 5, ON 7004, sale of excess property, excess lands. Eric.
Yes, so this is a approximately 8-acre piece of land that's in the upstream mitigation area, Zone 1. This is the former rural residential property. The structures have been removed, and we have obtained the flowage easement on this property. Here's a map. You can see this County Road 17 comes south of Horace. This property has a long driveway leading out to Highway 17, and then the home site or former home site is back to the east of that. This is a recommendation to declare this property as excess land. As you might recall, we go through a memo process where we outline some facts and figures about the property. It's approximately 8 acres. Again, there was a home there that we had purchased years ago. Typically, we've been proposing a sale price for these former residential properties or lots at $5,000 per acre. And so our proposed sale price on this one is $40,000. If this is approved, we would make sure that we retain the flowage easement, and then we would follow the steps to offer this to the member entities, then the former owner, then the adjacent landowners who you can see listed there on the table. Otherwise, I'd stand for any questions.
Any questions of Eric? All right, so this is just to set it up for as excess lands for sale, right?
Correct.
Okay. Any questions?
Derek will make the motion.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second? Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Stamnes?
Yes.
Ms. Derrick?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Borboom?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Gust? Yes. Ms. Monjo?
Yes.
And Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
That is everyone.
All right, motion carried. Item number 7, OAN 1834, sale of excess lands. Eric.
Yes, the next one here, very similar, not a rural residential property, but a small parcel, approximately 3 acres. You can see here on the map, this is right adjoining or abutting Highway 81, just south of the Red River Control Structure, south of Southern Embankment Reach 3, which is just off the screen here to the north. This property did have a large pole barn. That property was acquired and has been demoed, and the site is restored back so that it's level ground. Again, this is approximately 3 acres in Zone 1 flowage easement, so we will retain the flowage easement. We are also recommending that sale price be based on that $5,000 per acre, leaving a proposed sale price of $15,000. And again, similarly, we would go to the member entities and then the former owner, as well as then the adjacent owners you see listed on the screen. So we're looking for a recommendation to approve this as excess land.
All right.
Samus makes that motion.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Nathan. All right. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Stamnes?
Yes.
Ms. Derrick?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Borboom?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Gust? Yes. Ms. Monjo?
Yes.
And Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
That is everyone.
Motion carried. All right, next OAN 7249. Eric?
I think that we're on 1834, if I
Oh,
understand.
I'm sorry. Oh, I jumped ahead. 1834, yes. I'm sorry.
So OAN 1834 is about a 9.5 acre piece of property. This is in the Minnesota side, right along the Red River. You can see on the map here that there was a former farmstead as well as a little bit of tillable land here. This is right adjacent to the river, and so there's some erosion and other things that are happening along the riverbank. Again, here the structures have been acquired, they've been removed, and we have remediated the site. It's in Zone 1, and so we again will be retaining a flowage easement. For this property, because it's a combination of both residential farmyard or residential, sort of former yard site, as well as a little bit of tillable, we are recommending a sale price based on 5,500 per acre, so just a slightly increase. And so that leaves a proposed sale price of $52,000 for this parcel. Again, similar process. We're looking for a recommendation to declare this as excess, and we'll follow the policy.
All right. Any questions?
Zimmerman moves approval.
I'll second
Okay,
Stanis.
we have a motion and a second to approve 1834. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Stanis?
Yes.
Ms. Derrick?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Borboom?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Gust?
Yes.
Ms. Majo?
Yes.
And Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
That is everyone.
Thank you. Motion carried. All right. Now we can move to OAN 7249. Sure.
OAN 7249 is the furthest southwest piece of the Horace Rail Corridor. You can see that highlighted in pink on the screen here. You might recall that this was declared as excess land, I believe it was back in April of 2024. And since that time, we've been working on the platting and subdivision of this property and had intent from all of the adjacent landowners to purchase their portion. Go back to the map to help tell that story. So we had proposed to divvy up this parcel into 12 different chunks. The southern half was going to be sold to the property owner to the south, and then the north half was going to be divided into 11 chunks and sold to those 11 landowners. We had the plat prepared and approved by the city of Horace, and we had the railroad ballast removed, following the process that way to remove all the rock and manage any environmental contamination that was there. Got the clearance from the Department of Environmental Quality, and then we reached back out to these landowners asking them to go ahead and sign the paperwork and move on with the process. One of the landowners has indicated that they're not interested in proceeding, and so we've been trying to figure out another solution. And so we have reached out to all of the north side landowners and asked them if they were interested in buying the full width of the property, because the south landowner has backed away from the deal. The general feedback from the north side landowners is that there is interest, but not at the 50 cents per square foot rate that we had previously approved. And so after some discussions at staff level, our suggestion and recommendation was that two things, kind of a two-stage approach. One is, maybe set this up a little bit better, the landowners have requested a meeting with Justin and myself to kind of talk about their options, and we're certainly willing to meet with them. We've had lots of email and phone calls and other things with these property owners. But our suggestion is that we go back to the landowners with two options. One of them is, this currently in our policy is at the stage where we're selling to the adjacent landowners. And so the first option is we could proceed with selling the north half, break it down into those 11 chunks, and sell it to the north, the adjacent landowners to the north at the proposed price of 50 cents a square foot. If they're all agreeable to that, we would ask them to put a little bit of earnest money down, because we'll have to do a replat, and there's just some time and materials that we'll be spending on that. If they don't like that approach, then we would propose declaring the entirety of the corridor as into the public sale step of the process. And at that point, we could be open to receiving proposals from anybody, perhaps the adjacent landowners. But if we go to that second step, we have suggested that we would not do the platting unless they were willing to commit the $300 platting fee that we've used for other sections of the rail corridor. And so we're trying to balance the interest of this neighborhood with the interests of the other neighborhoods along the rail corridor. Some of them have already paid the 50 cents per square foot, and others are expressing full interest in paying the 50 cents per square foot. And so we felt like it's probably not a great strategy for us to agree to a reduced price for this part of the rail corridor. So that's our recommendation. I guess happy to have some discussion about that. I don't know, Justin, if I missed anything there or not.
No, I think you captured everything. It's really just the concern of what this path should look like moving forward.
So the Deb, did you want to? I just want to follow up again. So the recommendation would be that if the landowners agree.
It's kind of a two-step process is
Yeah.
what we're proposing. So again, maybe I'll go to the map that might just help tell the story. So we'd be proposing to meet with the landowners, the north side landowners, and if they're all comfortable, we would present them two options. One is let's proceed with slicing this parcel down the middle and selling them the north half based on 50 cents per square foot. If they all agree to that, two things. One, we would ask for 10% down earnest money. Secondly, we would declare the south half being into the public sale step of our process. If the landowners don't agree with option one, then our recommendation would be to declare the entire section to move it into the public sale step, basically saying we don't have an adjacent landowner to buy. And at that point, then if it's in the public sale step, we might get bids, we might not get bids. In the meantime, we'll have to just keep maintaining this corridor.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a question about, besides the side of the road that is on, or the former railroad, there's really no difference of the land. Like there's nothing put on one side rather than the other of the railroad. There's nothing that was pitched there. There's nothing that was built up there. All I can think is it's basically a mirror of one side of the other. I'm referencing that, basically the email that was sent back as in there's one side at one price, but difference the other. They're basically the same piece of property as it would be standing, right?
So I would caveat this, but I haven't personally been down to look at this. I've seen a bunch of pictures. I think you're right that the sort of geometry of the corridor is identical from one side to the other. You probably couldn't tell the difference, other than on the north side, you have homes who have probably been maintaining a portion of it for some period of time. I think some of them may have some sheds or gardens that have encroached into this just over time. On the south side, you have tillable farmland that probably farms as close to the berm as you can. And so there's probably while the geometry of the rail corridor is probably identical, there is a different land use on either side of it.
Deb.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. My first question, if I recall when we discussed this before, we did talk about that the city of Horace was approached. And so for that south section, can you just give us some background again about, would that be something that they might be interested in? I could see it as a lot of cities, their towns convert these old rail beds to bike ped trails.
Yeah, so fair question. So it's a little bit hard to tell on this map, but if you bear with me, there's pieces of this rail corridor that extend further west that have been sold to private landowners by the railroad. Similarly, immediately to the east that occurred. And then there's another section east of this that we've sold to the adjacent landowners. And then there's a piece further north of that the city of Horace had expressed interest in. I don't know that the city has expressed interest in this section of the rail corridor. They had expressed interest in a different section. I don't want to speak for the city. Maybe they'd be interested in half of this. I suppose if it went to that public sale step, they would certainly have an opportunity to, throw in a bid on it.
If not, and again, if you don't mind if I just hit you with a few different questions. Otherwise, this is landlocked, right? Because the person that would have purchased it to the south is not interested. And if the homeowners to the north are not interested and we are sort of locked in on either of the other sides, anyone who's going to purchase it wouldn't have access without going through other property, correct?
I think that's fair. And I guess maybe to add on to that, This part of Horace is developing rapidly. There's a plat immediately across the road to the south that was just approved, and we had discussions with that landowner and developer. We anticipate that this property will likely be developed in the next few years. And I guess our thought process was that perhaps when it gets to that development stage, maybe that pink area becomes attractive to the developer.
That's helpful. Okay, my last question, the earnest money. So if we are looking at recommendation 1, the only difference between what we had already been planning to carry out and this is the earnest money, correct? Because they were planning to purchase the property to the south, and they just weren't interested in the property, property to the north, but they weren't all interested in adding property to the south at the current cost. So what's the rationale for adding the earnest money for them to still purchase the properties to north that they were interested in purchasing?
So we have a plat that was prepared by surveyors and legal descriptions and purchase agreements that were prepared for platting the entire portion. And if we only sell the north portion of it, we would likely need to redo that plat. I'm a little concerned that somebody else backs out, I guess, frankly, because we've told them all along that this was an all or nothing situation. The whole neighborhood needed to agree. We really don't want to be left with just, for example, somebody in the middle here that backs out and we have a truly inaccessible portion. And so I think the earnest money was just kind of another step where we're asking people to sort of put their money where their mouth is, I guess, because it'll take a little while to do all the closing and get all the paperwork done.
Right. I would just say, I think my thought on that is if they were, after a conversation, if they were still committed to follow through with their initial commitment, but again, it wasn't their fault that the person that was planning to purchase the land to the south has backed out, then we could, revisit this, but I would hate to see them, if they're now feeling some trepidation, that we add an earnest money cost to it.
Sure.
I'd hate to have that be something that sort of causes things to break down.
I think that's a fair point, but just to be clear, the earnest money would go towards the purchase. It wouldn't be additional.
Okay. That's very helpful.
Jason?
On
Your mic, you want to get
both on the east and west end of this parcel where the kind of blue segments, those are public gravel roads. So there is access from the ends, just not from the north or south. Yeah.
So if we do end up holding ownership of the south portion or the entire portion, we still have access from both the east side and the west side for maintenance purposes.
And was the south one that was all going to go to the property owner to the south? What was the price on that?
That was also 50 cents per acre, or 50 cents per square foot.
Per square foot, okay.
He probably would buy it at 50 cents per acre.
And so based on that, what would that value be? I don't know how many square feet there are in that southern.
So those numbers on the screen are the square footage for each portion. So the southern piece is 80,700 so about $40,000 for the southern piece.
And the northern half, all those landowners have already agreed to purchase those?
They had previously, and I'm hoping that there's still interest there. Yeah.
I do have an additional question.
Yes, okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. So the reason why the southern, I guess the person to the south did not purchase it, was it price? And since they did not purchase it, they have to sign something, say they will no longer purchase it no matter what price comes up? I guess my concern would be the adjustment happens to that southern portion be sold to the property owners to the north. Like, well, now the southern guy, the guy in the south, is like, well, I would have bought it at that cheaper price.
The landowner on the south objected in part because of the price. I suspect he's looking for a deal, yeah.
Commissioner Moto.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is that piece tillable in any way?
There may be a portion of it that's tillable. Again, I haven't been out there myself. I mean, they removed all the rock material as well as a foot of soil underneath that and then replaced it with fresh topsoil and seeded it. So I don't know, can farmers around here handle hills? I'm not sure.
I guess maybe the reason for my question is if the adjacent landowner is actively farming that piece, maybe the square footage piece was offsetting as opposed to coming back with a per acre, similar to what we've done with our other pieces, per acre cost. And I think the folks to the north have, different intention for the use of the land in comparison to that landowner. So maybe there's,
Sure.
that's part of the offset. I'm not sure.
Deb.
My inclination would be to support the first recommendation, because I also think if we, it doesn't, if we put the south part back up for sale and we keep the price as it is, if we end up lowering the price for the south, then the folks to the north are going to feel like, well, how come I had to pay the higher price? And so at this point, moving ahead with what we've already secured with them, as I said, I have a little trepidation about the earnest money. If you felt like that wasn't necessary, then I would be in support of waiving that. But I think that's part of that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Explain to me again the plat process. Has the plat process started based on this design?
Yeah, the plat based on this concept has been approved by everybody that needs to approve it. It hasn't been recorded yet because we would need all of these landowners to sign the plat. And so we were ready to proceed with that, and then we had some landowners back out. So the plat has been approved. If the north side landowners would proceed with buying their portion as originally proposed, I suppose we could still record the plat. We would need to modify who's buying the south chunk of that to be probably retained by the Cass County Joint Board. The city of Horace has preferred that these lots get merged together as part of the platting process. And so there's going to have to be a little bit of rework with legal descriptions and perhaps rework of the plat. I'm hoping we don't have to bring the whole plat back, but we don't know for sure yet.
One more question.
Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah, I did do some math on this. So is that about 1.8 acres? 80,000. So just for the, the groups, that's about 22,000 per acre. And so given the fact that we just worked through some offers in regards to $5,000 an acre, I think you can understand why the landowner has a little bit of heartburn.
But all those north properties did pay that price per square foot, right?
Right.
Or have agreed to pay that price?
Other landowners that are further east of here have already purchased portions of the rail corridor for 50 cents per square foot. And not all, but most of them were residential type landowners.
Adjacent to tillable land. And I
There
guess
was-
that's the reason I'm asking this is the north.
Yeah.
The north part obviously are attached to residential land components. So I certainly think that makes sense. But, as you look on the other side of it and it's connected to that parcel, that's why you might have heartburn.
There was one section of the other piece of property that was tillable or adjacent to tillable, and that did also sell at the 50 cents per square foot.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Maggio, I really appreciate that input. And as a new person, fairly new on the committee, can you give us just, I don't want to take up too much time, but a little background on how you came up with these particular prices? So why is it that the ones that we were looking at earlier, is it that because they are ones that are still land that could be flooded and this is not? Or what is the rationale for having such disparities in terms of what we were just looking at for those compared to here?
So I'd say most of the excess land property that we're dealing with is not railroad land. And so if I'll just talk about that for a minute, a lot of the excess land pieces that we have approved have been sort of odd-shaped farmland. Many of them have been in the upstream area where we have a flowage easement where there's no development potential. It has to remain farmland. And generally, we've actually seen some auction sales of that type of property ranging in the 7,000 per acre range for a full quarter section. And so given the small, odd shape and flowage easement, that's where our history has demonstrated that the roughly 5,000 per acre for like a former residential property seems to be a appropriate price as a starting point. We have had some other lands that were not in the upstream area that were more regular farmland up on the north end of the channel. And those, I think we've priced probably in the 7,000 to 8,000, maybe even 9,000 per acre. 8,500 was probably the highest. And those were lands that were not encumbered by a flowage easement. Depending on the size and the shape of the parcel, we use our best judgment. We've been buying property on this project for probably a decade, and so have a pretty good familiarity of what the going rate is. And so that's kind of some background of how we've established some of those prices in the recommendations historically. Segue to the rail corridor here. The project purchased this rail corridor for commercial land value prices. That's how the railroad sells its land. And so while we're proposing to sell it at 50 cents a square foot, recognize that we purchased it for a much higher price than that. And so the 50 cents was developed. I think Jody had a number of conversations with former committee members, former leadership of the authority, and that price has been established for, like I said, this was declared back in April of 24. And so there's a bit of history there. Admittedly, Jody was probably the architect of a lot of that. And so I don't have as much insight as I might on others.
So Eric, the southern, so if it were platted as it is right now, and we did not have a buyer for the 80,718 square feet, would that, and we went forward with the other landowners to the north obtaining theirs, would that land simply at this point in time still be in the hands of the Cass County Joint Resource District?
Yes.
And so why couldn't we just move forward with the part we know about, not even worry about that, the southern part of that, and see what develops down the road with that? I'm a little concerned about making too many changes. All it would take is for one of those other ones on the north half to change their mind, and we got a mess again.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it seems to me that maybe we ought to just deal with those who are committed to purchasing that northern piece and leave the southern part as it stands in the hands of the Cass County Joint Water Resource District, and we can come up with that decision later. Right? To me, that seems like it would be a clean way to do it. Yes.
So, Eric, when would you be able to have these meetings? Could you have something ready for us for the next meeting?
Yeah, I guess I've had some emails with the landowners. I've thrown out some dates in early August, and I'd say half of the landowners have gotten back to me saying that those dates would work. So I'm hoping to meet with them in early August.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we follow the strategy as outlined by Eric.
Okay. That's recommendation one. All right. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Second by Deb. Any further discussion? And so that would be to basically deal with the north half now.
Yes.
And just so I'm clear here, if those landowners then back out of buying their portion, then we could proceed to the moving the entire portion to the public sales step.
It's not essential that we get this land done quickly because it's not essential to completing the diversion.
Right.
Okay.
I guess I would like to say that. I understand that, but it would be nice to have a resolution to this.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't believe adding time, right, as what I can see, will actually come to a solution sooner.
I don't see how we can push things along any faster.
Well, only if you go directly to option 2, I guess, for the full auction of the property, that would resolve this, that'd resolve it. Because I don't know when someone does back out of that rest, if they do, how much time will go by before, all right. And then also the person does want it to the south, well, they'll only want a straight section, you know, they don't want a little keyway going on when they were to buy that property. So now you're stuck with that one piece of property, you know, stuck in there, not able to get to it.
Well, maybe we'll know a little more next meeting.
All right.
I need clarification on what the motion is here again.
So can I jump in?
Yes, yes.
So I think we're still all in agreement that even on the north property, it's an all or nothing. We can't leave any little sections.
That's right.
So Eric will have to go back and affirm that we have them all.
Perfect.
Okay, right? Okay, and then what we're saying is we'll hold on to that south half. If the north half is all, then that can go forward. We'll hold on to the south half. But if you come back next month or the next month, depending on how things move, and there's some that are not willing to go through, then that's the point where we're going to have to say, we're going to have to pull it all back and go to public auction.
Is that what your motion said?
Well, Eric, you want to outline your proposal again?
I guess the only, question or suggestion that seems to be maybe still fuzzy is historically, if we don't have a buyer from the adjacent landowners, staff have been authorized to follow the policy, which means we then list it as public sale on the website. And so I guess my question for the committee is, are you comfortable giving staff that, continuing to give staff that authorization to follow the policy, which is basically step 2? Or do you want us to come back in August and report back the results of this, and then you can make the decision to move it to public sale?
Yeah, I guess I think that we should, as was just explained, it should be all or nothing on the north half.
Yep.
As it is now. And if we get that, if you can come back with that, then we've got a deal on that, and then can deal with the southern piece later. I think that's the cleanest way. And I don't know if that's how your motion.
Yep, that's okay. I'll take that clarification.
Deb?
Thanks. And also, just to clarify, the all or nothing proposal was part of what was explained to the potential purchasers previously, correct? So that, again, I'm just sort of looking at what we initially presented to them. And when we look at recommendation 1, the only difference is the addition of the earnest money. So we're not asking them to do anything new, and we haven't added any caveats that they weren't already familiar with other than the earnest money. And so you're asking if they now back out. Well, I would hope that they would still follow through with what they'd already committed to, because we haven't changed anything other than that, the one.
That sale would go through for each property owner, provided they all stay with their original intent.
Right. In which case.
If one of them bows out, it all stops.
In which case, if 1A is fulfilled, I don't see why you would need to bring it back to us to B.
Okay.
And that's what you were asking us.
I think what I was asking then is step 2 down here on the next page is, if they back out, are you comfortable with staff then declaring moving the entire section into the public sales?
I think going back to what was said, I think if they back out, you just come back to us.
Okay.
And I think that's just how we should deal with it.
Okay. That's fair.
I'm just trying to keep this clean and simple here.
Yep.
So we're understood here with the motion in the second? All right, any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Stamnes?
Yes.
Ms. Derrick?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Borboom?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
Mr. Gust?
Yes.
Ms. Monjo?
Yes.
And Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
There's everyone.
All right, motion carried. I did want to point out too, today we were missing Commissioners Flacco and Brightling. They were involved with budget meetings and couldn't be here today, so I just wanted to make sure that people were aware of why they were absent today, so. All right, any other business?
I might mention just one other thing for the committee's awareness. Nothing official to report or in front of you yet, but we did have our first auction yesterday. There were 6 parcels that were on that auction. 4 of them went for well more than our reserve price. One of them was just slightly under the reserve price, and then the 6th parcel was the elevator in Horace, and so Justin and Jason and I have some deliberating to do about the Horace elevator still. So we look forward to reporting more to you at the next meeting.
All right, anything else? Justin, anything else?
No, I think Eric did a great job as I get up to speed. It's nice hearing the history on some of this.
All right, so with that, right now we don't have a date set. I'm assuming that working with Justin and Eric, a date will be determined when necessary for the next meeting. All right, with that, we will stand adjourned.